Wow. I'm good, man. It's a pleasure to have you, man. Real talk.
Thanks for having me. It's a
For
pleasure to be
sure.
here.
How's your day?
It's going well. I had a couple errands to run, and then I had school like early this morning, but everything went
Everything
smoothly
is
for
good. That's
sure.
dope. Okay, you said you're in school. What you taking in school?
I'm getting my license in cosmetology.
Your license, sorry?
I'm getting my license in cosmetology.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay, so you're into the aesthetics, like making
Yeah, like
beautiful. Okay,
hair, nails,
the
all that
whole
stuff.
nine
Yeah,
yards.
the whole nine
That's
yards.
dope. That's dope. What's your favorite feature?
I would have to say nails. I'm into nails. I
Mm,
actually taught myself how to do nails 3 years ago.
okay, that's dope.
It was just something that like I picked up and wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I guess now, in living in this world, everybody want like a piece of paper to prove you do what you do.
No,
So
for sure.
I was like, let me just go back to school, complete it, get my license, call it
Just
a
be
day.
certified.
But I really be doing my thing.
No,
So
I feel you. I feel you. And that's dope because that's the thing where you don't gotta have a boss. Like you could always be your own boss. You know what I mean?
hmm yeah, because I don't want to work for nobody. I'm sorry, I don't got.
Exactly.
I don't got time.
No, I feel
I
you.
want to do my own thing.
I feel you. I feel you. All right, so let's get a little bit into your story. Um,
Yes, because you're gonna be my first podcast ever. I never really was the type to want to like be on the internet too much or like be
mm,
talking on no interviews and stuff like that. But it's
mm,
like I guess I get so many like different narratives and different stories that at a point in time it's just like, dang, like do y'all just want me to tell y'all like what's really going on or like that's deep that I have to tell y'all.
yeah, for
So yeah.
sure. No, for sure, for sure. No, I think it's important because I mean, whether you realize it or not, you're around a lot of greatness, a lot of you know what I mean, a lot going on. So it's like,
And what's
for,
crazy is right, like I don't even so when you're just naturally involved with like people, cause so like the people around me, y'all will look at like on the outside where y'all be like, oh, they're so interesting. We watch them every day. We listen to them, or we like stay tuned on the drama or what's going on. For me, it's just like regular. Like, okay, I know these people. Oh, these
yeah,
people do it. Oh, he said
yeah.
that. Is like it's just regular for me. So I don't really be realizing I guess you could say like the status of the people that surround me until like, I start seeing little things and I'm like, oh, they think you famous. Oh, they think you
Mm.
well known.
No, I
For
get
me,
that.
it's
Yeah, that's the internet for you, man. That's the internet for you for sure.
yes, the internet has changed. It make
For real. Well, it's your turn now. So the limelight's on you. Let's get into Tatiana. Am I saying it right? Tatiana,
yes,
right?
let's get into me.
So I heard you from up north. Are you from up north in Chicago? Like you from Chicago, right?
hmm
Okay.
Yes,
Where in Chicago?
I am from East Rogers Park. It's like a little town. I
Okay.
guess you could say like sort of on the outskirts of it's not on the, it is Chicago still, but it's
Yeah.
more like, coming into like the suburbs and stuff, but it's still considered the city. It's tricky to like figure it out. But
Okay.
or
Okay.
if you're from Chicago, for all the people who is gonna watch it from Chicago, it's the last end on the red line. So we have this train that goes from 95th, which is all the way out south,
Yeah.
all the way up north. I'm the very last stop on the red line. So
Mm.
that's where I come from.
Okay. Okay. So give me a little bit of your childhood. What was your childhood like?
Ooh, so I'm not gonna lie to you. Growing up, we did stay in the projects. Well, what we call projects, it's called North Point buildings.
Okay.
Um, it was really regular. Like, I did almost regular stuff.
Yeah.
Been outside till the street lights come on, just being bad,
Yeah.
just that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Growing up in Chicago is different. Like, I don't know how to explain. It's real peaceful. Well, it was peaceful for me. I don't
Okay.
know about nobody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me it was peaceful and I ain't gonna say like, oh, I was being bad, but in my terms I was running the streets. So and
Mm.
then just going to school and stuff.
Sorry, what year were you
Yeah,
born? Like,
it
what
was
year
pretty
is this?
regular. I was born 1998.
98.
My
All
birthday
right.
just passed. So I'm
Okay.
27.
Happy belated birthday. Happy belated
Thank
birthday.
you. Yes, my
Yeah.
birthday was just like what was that? Wednesday? Yeah, like three
Wednesday.
days ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
So like I say, I grew up real regular. Like I didn't grow up in like no hectic area. I mean, like it was stuff going on, but that's
Hmm.
regular to me. Like
Okay.
you grew up in the hood, all of that activity is super regular. So it wasn't
Regular.
nothing that was like, oh, my life was in danger.
Yeah.
No, I just was like getting wrapped up in groups of people that I shouldn't have been around, or that was like acting older than their age, or who were older. But that's
Yeah.
because I could never get in like I can never get vibe with people my age or younger. So I always been with
Mm,
an older crowd.
okay.
So a lot of the stuff that I went through, I experienced it because I was always, hanging out with older people.
For
Other
sure.
than that, my childhood was pretty
Pretty
decent.
good. Okay. And what about the siblings? Like you're a lonely child? Or was that like?
No, I'm the oldest of seven. So it's me.
Wow.
I have four other sisters, four other little
Yeah.
sisters. I have two little brothers.
Uh-huh.
My mama was a single parent though, and we didn't all have the same father, of course.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, my mama was decent. She did what she can. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna say I grew up like no lavish, got everything she wanted. Like, no, I had to work for what I wanted. I was the oldest of seven, so
For
I
sure.
already knew off bat, like, I gotta get it.
No, for sure.
If
For
I
sure.
want it, I gotta get it myself. You feel
For
me?
sure. For sure.
Um, Now I ain't always have the best relationship with my mama, but
Mm.
I mean that's neither here nor there. You
No,
know what
for
I mean?
sure. For sure. For sure. For sure. And like one of your little brothers was Lil Scoom, right?
So that's my brother on my dad's side.
Okay.
So okay, so when we speak about family, right?
Yeah.
Um, I grew up with my brothers and well, all of my brothers and sisters, even on my dad's side. Like, my dad would do this thing where not only on like special occasions and holidays, just like any little thing, birthdays, anything, family reunions, we will all link up
Get
or
together.
whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like I used to go over. Well, when my dad was still with Scoom's mom, I remember I would go over there like every other weekend
Yeah.
and just be over there at my dad's house with my dad. You know what I mean? And then, like I say, we would meet up for like family reunions, birthdays, little trips, taking trips to like arcades and stuff like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how we grew up. I didn't have too much of a very close relationship with my brothers, but like from time to time, we would call each other, check in with each other, see how each
Okay.
other was doing. If
Okay.
it was someone's birthday, we a happy birthday, just call randomly to see if we was okay. But other than that, it's not like we was with each other every day. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Like it
For
wasn't
sure.
that.
So what was like what when you were around him? What was like Lil Scoom like as a child? Like you know what I
Oh
mean?
my gosh. So what's so funny? Okay, so what's crazy is Turtle used to be way smaller than School, right?
Okay.
Turtle had a growth spurt out of nowhere. No, I don't even know where it came from, but he had a growth spurt.
Yeah.
But Scoom, he literally is exactly how he was when he was a child. He's just grown now.
Mm.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Okay.
but he was very smart, very intelligent, very
Okay.
ahead of his age. You know
Okay.
what I mean? He was funny. He was a slick one.
Okay.
From what I remember when we was
Yeah.
growing up as kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, when we
Yeah.
got older as adults and stuff, and like started having kids, well, when I started having my kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
we all drifted apart. Well, me
Okay.
more than them,
Yeah.
but I would stay in tune with him. Like I would call him ever so often, and he'd be outside late, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" Or he'll
Yeah.
call me in the car with all his homeboys, and I'd be like, "Why are you calling me at this time of night?" And he'd be like, "What you doing?" Ooh, like just wanting to bother me. And
No,
then
for
that's
sure.
just it used to warm my heart because I feel bad that we didn't have a tighter relationship as we got older.
Mm.
But
Mm.
it's the little thoughts that count.
No, for sure.
Feel what
For
I'm saying?
sure. For sure.
And for
So like
me, like I said, I didn't have a very close bond with him. Like I said, we just like any ordinary family, half siblings, whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
But we was around each other. Like we was raised to be around each other. We did stay in the same household at a point in time.
Okay. Okay.
Like I say, we did attend family gatherings and all of that.
No, for sure.
And for me, he was just I don't know, he was a light. When I did have my son though, I did used to go on my own and like go and see him and my other little
Mhm.
brother Turtle and their mom and visit me and my son, and we would even like go out to eat and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they was pretty much close. I do feel bad though because I wish like I say, as my son got it
Did it
older,
more. Yeah.
yeah, they were around each other more. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
pictures,
yeah.
and stuff, you know. So
Well,
say the memory.
the last time you guys were together, what was that day like?
Oh, the very last time I was around my brother's school, it was a long time ago.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. I remember going to see him and his brother. Their mama stayed like in the suburbs up here before she moved over east.
Yeah.
And they were still kids. Like Schoon was still a baby. Not even a
Yeah.
baby, but he was still like, teenager, growing into his
Okay.
teenager.
Okay.
So and that was actually
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
it was at least 2.5 to 3, almost 3 months when I
Okay.
last like had our random phone calls.
Yeah.
I remember I was in the bed and he called me because he was trying to make sure my number was still the same. Because he was like, "Oh, I've been trying to
Mhm.
call you, you ain't been answering. Why you ain't been answering?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is not still my same number. You ain't called me."
Mhm.
And he was like, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know where the hell he was at or who he
Yeah.
was at, but he was trying to
Yeah.
come pull up on me, and I'm like, you'll be
Yeah.
pulling
Yeah.
up on me with everybody. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like doing all that. I yell all of us how we ain't been around each other in a while, and I was just like, yeah. I mean, we could do that, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. I just be to myself
No, for sure.
like
For sure.
I love my family, they're my people, but
For sure.
I give out the energy that I'm giving. So,
No, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Rest.
but yeah,
Re-
I do
re-
adore my brother. I love him. I do miss our little phone calls.
yeah. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. So how early in the drill culture would you say, like, do you remember, like, I guess being around, I guess maybe the 63rd area? To give me a little bit, or like about that time a little bit.
Okay, so what's surprising is like I never hung around 63rd.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I never hung out on 63rd or around that block. I just hung around all the people, like I guess you could say like all the people that are like known from over there. Not everybody. I
Yeah.
got introduced I got introduced to what like, 63rd, or I guess you could say like FBG and FYB and all of them. I got introduced to them through my husband, with my late husband, when we got
Yeah.
together, and that had to be back around like 2014. Yeah,
Okay.
2014,
Okay.
2015 when I
2014.
met him. And even then, like before that, I didn't know nothing about them. Like
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
know about the low end. I didn't know about
Okay.
because out south our streets are
Okay.
numbered. So if it wasn't the 90th or better, like hundreds and all of that in the hundreds, then I didn't know
Okay.
about it because that's just the places I used to go and be hanging out at.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I met my husband that it was like, okay, oh, now there's a low end. I know what this is.
You,
I was like, oh, I thought this was just downtown. I thought it was just White Side. You know
okay.
what I mean?
And that's FYB trigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So around. Okay. So let's go there. Around what time did you? What year did you
Um.
meet him? What was that
So,
era like?
oh my gosh, back in that time, for us, I want to go back to that time. That time was the best. Not even gonna lie to you. That time was the best. But so basically, like, I guess you could say that's when the drill culture really started picking up.
That's like, is that around the time where like Chief Keef dropped "Don't Like"?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So when that song came out, that is exactly around the same time. Maybe a year later into that is when I met Trigger.
Okay, so things were bubbling.
Yeah. So
Mm.
and Trigger is a hothead.
I
He
see
was a
I
hothead.
see that.
He
I
was a
see
hothead.
that. Yeah.
And at that time, we was much younger. Oh my gosh, I had to be 15, going on 16. Trigger had to be 16, going on 17. And what's funny is I had already before I met Trigger, I had actually had just dropped out of high school. Like I just decided that I was dropping out of high school because I didn't want to do it no more. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I don't got time for this. I don't got time for this shit. I don't want to do it. That's just me
Yeah.
being a kid. I finished high
Yeah.
school now, but back in the past, I was like, no, I want to do it. I had, I guess you could say, stole my first vehicle.
Ooh.
And how I met Trigger, we already actually knew of each other,
Yeah.
but we just never like, I never gave him the time of day and he never like pushed to like talk to me. So around this time, I had just moved like on the west north side of Chicago
Okay.
in Humboldt Park, and I started talking to him because of a mutual friend that we had, and later found out that me and him actually live like 2-3 blocks away from each other.
Okay.
So we ended up just linking up one day because back in that day you would have people do like what they call what the fuck did we used to call it back in the day? Wake and bake. You ever heard of
Okay.
that?
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, so this like really a thing. You feel
Okay.
me? You
Okay.
like, oh, you want to link up, woo, 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 right?
Yeah,
Early in the
yeah.
morning, like, oh, you up early, I'm up early. Come on, let's back.
Yeah.
And so I remember going over there. When I tell you, we didn't have like there was no like foreplay. There was no hanging out. Like when I met Trigger, for real, when I met him, the first time I met him, he did not let me go home. He was like, you gonna stay with me? You my girlfriend.
Stay with me. Oh, just
And
like that. Just like that.
I'm like, and so in my head, he like, I'm thinking he's joking until the
Yeah.
night progresses, and he really like is not trying to let me go home.
Wow.
And I remember he took me. Well, he didn't like force me to go out south. I went with him, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember he was like, "Come with me. I'm gonna make sure you come back home."
Yeah.
We went out south. We went to his other friend house, or who we called his brother was named Lil Mook.
Okay.
And I remember we was just sitting over there. We was kicking it. We was chilling. We ordered Chinese food, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta go." He was like, "Yeah, no, you're not going nowhere. It's too late." He was like, "And I don't got no money for the taxi or whatever." So he was like, "You just gonna stay here?" And I was like, "Dude." And I remember like calling my grandma like, "I'm gonna spend the night out. I don't have no ride back home right now." And she was just like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm on the south side."
Yeah.
She was like, "Girl," I was like, "It's too late for me to get on the train, so I can't go nowhere." And ever since then, like it was just me and him always. You couldn't separate
Locked
us.
in.
Like he wouldn't let me go nowhere without him unless he knew. And then from there we just fell in
What
love with
what
each
what 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 stood out to you about him initially, and like for those who not don't really know, what was Trigger like? Like, you know what I mean? Give me a little bit more about him.
So okay, so for me, he was just like I ain't gonna lie. Okay, so like back in the day, you would love you a nice street nigga. You feel me? Like everybody
Yeah.
want to throw a little hood nigga. And it
Yeah.
was just a simple fact, like just his appearance, his build, how he carried himself.
Mhm.
Even though we was kids, like it just intrigued me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just love the way that he loved me, like how he just wanted to be all over me and stuff. So I love
Mhm.
that. We did have a little bit of rocky moments because he was a hoe. So I had to
Mm.
nip that in the bud, and that came with trial and error. But I did what I had to do. You
No,
feel
I
me?
hear you. I hear you.
But yes, we were just real inseparable. Like, and then okay, so there was this when me and Trigger first got together. Mind you, we wasn't even together for like a full month.
Mm.
And I was just so infatuated with this boy. I just knew that he was gonna be somebody that I had kids with. I just knew that he was gonna be somebody that I was gonna be with forever. And this is all like within a month.
Wow.
And I remember maybe literally it was going on the second month of us ever being together.
Yeah.
And he did something. Did something, and he was like super scared about it. He was just like, man, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. Woo, woo, this, and that. He was like, the next pipe case I catch, I'm be going to jail forever. Woo, woo. Now, and I don't want nobody to be chewing me up in the comments. I
Yeah.
was young as hell. I was young as hell. I was naive, but I just knew I was in love. That was it.
Mm.
And so I remember we ended up. He used to be. Oh my gosh, he was so bad. Him and his brother used to steal cars. They used to do way
Mm.
more than steal cars, but they used to
Mm.
steal cars. And so
Mm.
I remember one day he came and he picked me up. He was in a steamer. That's what they called them.
Mm.
And we drove all the way out south. And we picked up one of his other people. And I remember they broke the back window. I don't know. He let it down and it was dead ass fucking cold.
Mhm.
And we couldn't get it to come back up. So we had to put a plastic bag over it.
Mhm.
Well, if you put a black plastic bag over a broken window or open window, you automatically get pulled over by the police because it has to be like clear or whatever. So of course the police get on us. We ended up getting into a high speed chase,
Oh,
just
shit.
some of the story.
This is your
And
first this is your first chase at this point?
this is my first. You
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
me?
yeah,
Like I'm like, dang, I wasn't even it was this boy for that long. Like
yeah.
I so and so I remember we was driving and I don't know. I just remember like I was like, oh my gosh, go, 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 because I didn't want him to get. As I knew if he got, I was getting caught
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, go. And we ended up crashing,
Holy.
and we like ran our separate ways. But I like was completely blacked out. Like I hit the dashboard so hard, but I could hear, and he was trying to hold my hand, but it was snow on the ground, so it was like we was running. So we ended up just going our separate ways, and we both ended up getting caught. But I ended up taking the rap for the gun. This was my first gun case ever. I ended up taking the rap for the gun.
Hold on.
Um,
Did you guys communicate this? Or you just like,
yes.
yo, I'm just
So
gonna do
this
it for
was
this
like
guy?
something. That's why I said before they chew me up in the comments.
Okay.
This was just something that we had like I don't know why we had already discussed it, but it was just
Mm.
like how you just be thinking of hypothetical
Yeah,
situations.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a nigga be like, "Oh, do you love me?" Woo, this, and that. So I just knew that like because it was gonna be my first case, I knew I was gonna get let off more easy than he was. This being like
Mm-hmm.
his second or third, and so I remember I ended up telling them like, "No, it's mine. Like it's my gun." Even though they already knew it wasn't. Like they knew for a fact it wasn't mine. But
Mm.
because I kept telling them that it was, they automatically let him go. Which then
Mm.
I ended up getting taken in. And I think I did like maybe a week or two in the juvenile
That's
detention center.
that's it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I got let back out. And as soon
Okay.
as I got let back out, I think I got released on house arrest. And I ended up literally going right back home to him. Like
Okay.
he met us or whatever.
Okay. Hold on, you're cutting right now. Hold up. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go. There you
Okay, there we
go.
go.
Yeah. You see now?
So So like I say, and ever since then, like literally ever since that, I guess you could say like a spotlight was put on
Mm.
me because
She's a real one. Yeah. Mm.
our first child, you know how some people be like, oh, the first child wasn't planned. We actually planned our
Oh,
pregnancy,
word.
like so. Again, we were kids, but I remember I had got put on probation, and I remember they told me like, oh, I was gonna have to drop, like I was gonna have to take a piss, thing.
Mm.
And so I remember being on the phone with him, and I'm like, damn, how I'm gonna drop my piss test? I don't want to fail, and then they send me back to the juvenile detention center. Like, what am I gonna do? And so, damn, that's when he was like, I was like, maybe, I was like, what's a way? She was like, you just gonna have to detox. And I was
Mm.
like, I can't just keep detoxing all the time. And he
Yeah.
was like, cause they random. And so he was like, I don't know. I'm like, what if I got pregnant? And
Wow.
he was like, you think that's gonna work? And I'm like, I think so. Like, I think if I'm pregnant, I might drop clean all the time because I'm pregnant. Like, they're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to really tell. It
Yeah.
sounds fucking stupid now, but ever since then, we was like, okay. We was like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. He was like, okay. And ever since then, we just tried for a baby. Like, we was just like, he was like, okay, let's get me pregnant.
Mm.
Found out I was pregnant. And then we ended up, when I found out I was pregnant, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't scared. I was more happy than anything. Like, I was super
Mm.
happy because I wanted
You're
a boy.
ready. Yeah.
And
And
so
this is after how long you guys been together now when you got pregnant?
we were together for a year.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
we were together for a year. And and then that's when we ended up like moving to Georgia. My son was actually born in Georgia.
Oh wow.
So we were living in Georgia. And even then being out there, it was so much. Georgia's different. Atlanta's different. They're broken up into like many different counties.
Okay.
So to say the least, like you could commit a crime and literally ride 5 minutes and be in a whole different county,
Oh
and
wow.
it wouldn't matter. Like the
Okay.
crime you did in
Okay.
that county wouldn't matter in this county unless it's real horrendous. But like, say
Yeah.
if you was to rob somebody,
Yeah.
drive to a whole different county, it's
Wow.
not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but anywho's, so yeah, so what's it called? We ended up moving to Georgia. I ended up staying out there with him and his people for almost 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And then we ended up coming back here to Chicago. We were separated for a little bit, and then I ended up he ended up moving back to Atlanta with his family. I ended up
Yeah.
staying out here. I ended up moving back to Atlanta with him.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when we ended up having our second baby. And
Mm.
but we didn't know. I didn't even know I was pregnant. We was just doing everything under the sun. And I remember waking up one day having a bad hangover, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my hangovers usually don't always last this long. And we went to the hospital, and that's when we found out I was like 2 months pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been drinking, smoking, popping
Mm.
pills, I've been doing all this shit,
Mm.
and I'm pregnant. And for the longest, I remember for the like whole 8 to 9 months, me and
Yeah.
him had like a big debate because he swore it was a boy, and I was like,
Hmm.
"No, I'm having a girl." And he was like, "No, it's a boy, it's a boy." And I was like, "No, I'm being dead serious, like I'm having a girl."
Girl. How
And
did you know?
I knew first because I told him to tell me the gender. I didn't want to wait. I
Oh,
wanted to
okay,
make it
okay,
a
okay.
surprise for him though.
Yeah.
And so, at first he was mad, but then when we had her, he was like super happy. He was so happy. Like he
Mm,
couldn't let
mm,
her go. He was so happy. He loved the
mm.
way that she looked. Her eyes was the same color as his.
Yeah, yeah,
He was
yeah.
just like, okay. He let all of that go with the boy
Mm,
situation. But
mm, mm.
yeah, me and him, we were together for 9 years.
Wow,
We were married for 2.
wow,
Well, I guess you could say like a year and a half. Yeah. So
wow, wow.
we were
So,
together for a long time.
at what point of you guys being together did you meet Butter? Because him and Butter are supposed to be like best friends or something like that at some point, right?
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. So I was saying, yeah, at what point did you meet Butter? Because him and Butter were supposed to be like brothers, right?
So the whole situation with that, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I do need to clear up because a lot of people think like that I was messing with Butter while I was messing with Trigger,
Trigger.
and that's not the case.
Okay.
When Butter was around, Butter didn't come around a lot either because
Okay.
and Butter was arrested for a long time. Like when I met Butter,
Oh.
I met
Okay.
Butter when I first met Trigger, so around that same time, so 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then and then he ended up, getting locked up for what he got locked up for and being away
The
for
whole
like
LJ.
years.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
um, that's when like we had all of our stuff going on. We had kids, like all of that stuff happened. And then what's it called? Um, Butter came home. We still wasn't interacting like that. Hold on real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. You're. You got the exclusive Tatiana. It's dope, man. Young Clips Chair Game Podcast. You already know it's your boy Dovey the Don. You already know.
Sorry, my daughter, she can't go
It's
to
all
sleep.
good. It's all good. It's all good.
But anyway, so yeah, so after he came home, even then, we wasn't really kicking it like that or stuff like that. They were homeboys, so I wasn't really, even though I was up under Trigger a lot when they hung out and stuff. I really wasn't up under them. Like he'd go kick it with his brother on his own.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
when we did kick it and stuff, like I was never the type to like be in Butterface like that. Like I wasn't in his
Mm,
face. I wasn't like flirting with him or none of
okay.
that. Now when Trigger had passed away though,
Mm.
uh I remember Butter being like the only person out of all of his friends that
Check
like
up on
really
you.
was checking up on me and stuff. Not even that, like he was just calling, checking up on the kids, really just making sure like everything was straight, like they was
Mm,
good, I was good, like stuff like that. Butter
mm.
still had a girlfriend, and I never
Okay.
encouraged Butter to like get out of his relationship. I wasn't even like flirting with him, nothing like that.
Okay.
Uh, we would actually just like link up here and there with the kids, like all together,
Mm,
and just like be hanging out, be kicking it, and all of that.
for sure.
But what's it called? One day I was at work and Butter actually was like, I don't know, he was arguing with his girlfriend at the time,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I remember he like hit me up, and he was like just telling me about his relationship problems, and me knowing him like from another perspective.
Yeah. Your phone cut again.
Oh, it's because somebody is.
Calling you?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there we go.
It's all good. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So yeah. So what's it called? It wasn't until after Trigger had passed, like Butter was really like the only person that was really calling and checking up on me and stuff like that. We was like
Yeah.
hanging out with the kids and stuff,
Yeah.
just doing stuff regularly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had decided it was one day that he had hit me up, and like I said, he was like going through it with his girlfriend at the time,
Yeah.
and he was, I guess, trying to get relationship advice from me, but I was like, no, dude, because you be on bullshit. I done seen you before, like you be really out of hand. I would smack the shit out of you, like no. And
Hold on. That's what you told Butter?
yeah,
Okay.
And so then I remember it was weird. He was like trying to tell me about some girl that he had a crush on for the longest. And I was like, oh, well, why you just don't be with her? And he
Yeah.
was like, cause I don't know if she gonna like me back. And I was like, oh, okay, well, who is she? You know, I was being nosy. And
Mm.
that's when he ended up telling me it was me. And in my head,
Wow.
I'm like,
And this is like how long after since the
uh,
passing it? Hey, somebody ringing down your phone, eh? No, sorry, I couldn't hear you. You're gonna have to start over. So how long after?
so like it was almost like a month,
A month?
like a month. And
Okay.
I remember thinking in my head, like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm
did
like,
you
why
feel like
me?
did you feel like a month was maybe a little bit too soon for him to be talking to you like that too?
Honestly, truthfully, I wasn't even paying attention to the time, like the time frame.
Mm,
Like I wasn't paying. I
mm,
was more so set on the fact that like, cause the way he was expressing his feelings was as if like you would have like. Well, in his words, he would tell you. It was like, yeah, basically like since the day that I met you, and it's like
mm,
we done had, we done had outings together,
mm,
like me, you, your brother, like your girl and stuff like that. Like we done
mm,
kicked it. You done been in my crib. Niggas done made you dinner, all type of shit.
mm,
Like,
mm.
and so he was just like, he just was like, yeah. He was just like, I ain't gonna lie, it's been like that. Like, and he was just. I remember we stayed up on the phone for like maybe we stayed up on the phone the whole entire night until like 3 in the morning. And he was just telling me like every little time, like, oh, I liked you back then in this moment, in that moment. I was just like, and I ain't gonna lie to you, at first, I did think it was kind of weird
Yeah,
because I was never flirting with him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I was
yeah. So you're like, where's this coming from type thing? Let me send you back the link. Let's give her a moment to get back in. There you go.
switch to my iPad so he can stop calling the phone because I just told him, I say, I am in the middle of my podcast.
Who's that, Butter?
Yes.
Oh, Butter ringing you down, eh?
I'm like, dang, I'm in the middle of the podcast. You can't keep calling. You're messing it up. He's like, oh my God. So I was just like, I'm gonna just switch it to the iPad. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I wasn't thinking. I wasn't ever thinking about how long it was apart. I was more so thinking of the fact, like, man, you've been liking me for a very long time. Like that's kind
Yeah.
of weird.
Yeah.
And then, but see, what people don't know is a year before Trigga had passed away, me and him was already separated. Like at this point, we were kind of not seeing eye to eye no more. Like that
Okay.
inseparableness, we were
Okay.
actually becoming more distant. He actually had a girlfriend
Okay.
that he was active with that people like knew of. Like,
Okay.
oh, he was with a whole nother girl. But
Okay.
everybody still knew that we were married. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, so that's where I really want to clear the air because
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of like I'm not gonna say like hate messages or nothing, but I've gotten a lot of people that like come through my stuff and be like real disrespectful or got so much to say about my character or so much like, oh, how could you be messing around with your husband's brother, this and that.
Right.
And for one, I'm gonna say I'm grown.
Mm.
Like I could do what I want to do.
Talk your shit.
You feel me? Like I could
Yeah.
do what I want to do.
Right.
Um, two, it's not like they're blood related. They're not blood related
Mm.
brothers. They just that's just a title. It's just a name. It's like
Mhm.
it's nothing.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're friends, if anything.
Mhm.
And three, like I say, me and him we weren't even together for real. We were married by law, by paper. Yes, we were married,
Mhm.
but me and him weren't together. We were what you would consider like legally separated.
For how long?
We were legally separated for almost a year. It was almost a year to
Okay.
that point. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
but we were off and on. Like I'm not gonna say like we were completely separated. Like we
For
would have
sure.
moments where we would come back
For
and
sure.
try to
For
work
sure.
things out. We would get into
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
fight, more infidelity, more fighting, more all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
had came to
Yeah.
a point where we was just like we it was over with
Yeah.
between
Okay.
us.
Okay.
Um, and that actually, what people don't know is it actually hurt for me because I was on house arrest when he passed away.
Okay.
Um, while we were together, we got into a big argument, and it had led for me to be indicted. I was indicted on a possession of a gun
Mhm.
charge, and so I ended up
And this, so
basically
this your second one now.
yeah. So I ended up
Okay.
basically how I entered the relationship is how I left the fucking relationship.
Wow. For
Um,
second.
I ended up getting put on house arrest for getting caught with a gun. I was severely intoxicated, so I don't really remember too much of everything, but except for what the police report had to say.
Right.
And I just remember, like, me and him at that point, it was bad. Like,
It's toxic.
it was toxic. And so that's when I guess, he entertained his other relationship more and I
Okay.
just went my separate way.
Okay.
And it was bad. Like we went through a lot. We had a lot of mean stuff to say to each other. It wasn't all that bad. Like we had good times. Like he would come by, within that year that I was on house arrest, he was coming by. He was coming over for holidays. When the kids started school, he was over there. He would spend the night. He had nights where he would always spend the night. Always come over there. Always kick it with me. All of that. Like we had good moments, but it was just
So
like in a grand scheme of things, it wasn't as solid as it was
it wasn't the
before.
same. Yeah.
And so it hurt for me though because with how I felt was like me being on house arrest hindered us trying to really amend and fix our relationship. And he was already gaining a lot of attention for his music. He was already gaining like a lot of attention just for his talent and stuff like that. So he was
Mm.
feeding off of that. And in lesser terms, you could say it was making him more big headed.
Mm.
So um it was just like his focus on trying to like fix our marriage and trying to get it back together to where it wasn't really his main focus.
Okay.
And so it hurt for me because I we damn near raised each other. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
it was like, damn, like
Yeah,
you really
nine
just gonna
years.
you just
Yeah.
gonna leave me behind like that? Like, first of
Mm.
all, I wasn't even supposed to get in trouble. Like, I'm not even supposed to be on house arrest. And now on top of that, it's like you're literally saying fuck this whole entire marriage, a marriage
Mm.
that you wanted and asked. I held you down, you went to jail, you came home, you proposed to me, we got married, went to the courthouse, got married, all of that. And literally within like going into the second year, it was like it was coming to an end. And
Mm.
so I just remember it was a lot of hateful shit that we said to each other and it hurt.
Mm.
So I remember what happened. I ended up getting off of house arrest. And like it was like it was my birthday. It was around the time it was my birthday. I got let off. It was almost my birthday. And I remember me and him got back together for like a brief time. And I ended up going back to Georgia with him. But see, when I went back to Georgia, I wasn't supposed to go back. I was on like parole release. So you're not
So
supposed
sorry to cut you. So he was like back and forth Georgia and Chicago a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so I remember ended up going back to Georgia with him, and I wasn't supposed to go back. I was on parole,
Okay.
and but I was more so eager to like want to be with him, like and
Hmm.
fix my marriage than like worrying about. I felt like I had a loophole for everything,
For sure.
and so I ended up going back to Georgia with him, and we tried, we really did, but it's just like we wasn't clicking. You know what I mean? Like we wasn't
Yeah.
seeing eye to eye no more. And
Yeah.
so we ended up getting into it real bad. And I remember we went out of town somewhere and he went to what's it called? He went back to Georgia. I came back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I remember getting put back on house arrest because of course I wasn't supposed to leave.
Mm.
And what's it called? I ended up going back to Chicago. I ended up getting put back on house arrest. And we had this order. It was like a no contact order because initially, and I never wanted to speak about this or put this out in the air with
Yeah.
anybody or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so we could get an understanding. So yeah, so he ended up going back to Atlanta, and I ended up going back to Chicago, and I ended up getting put on house arrest because he ended up calling into Springfield
Mhm.
and telling them that I had left the state while on parole.
Wow.
And so
He did that out of spite, like just trying to get back at you,
yeah,
type.
he did it out of
Okay.
spite. It's more to the story,
Yeah.
and we could get on depth in it later, but
For sure.
basically,
Okay.
sum it up. Um
Okay.
I had no, actually we both were in Chicago. We both
Okay.
came back here because Butta's baby mama Destiny had passed away.
Okay. That's Sheena's daughter, right?
No, not Sheena's daughter. Sheena's daughter is still alive.
Oh.
He has another baby mom. His second baby mom. He has a daughter. Her name's Ramaya.
Okay.
Her mom, his
Okay.
only daughter. That's his only daughter. Her
Okay.
mom ended up passing away from an opioid overdose.
Oh,
She ended
okay.
up
Yeah.
getting, back in the day, people used to pop pills and stuff, and so
Yeah.
somebody gave her a bad pill, and of course she passed away.
Okay.
And me and Trigger was together,
Yeah.
and we ended up getting a call. We were at the beach actually. We had just made it to Myrtle Beach, and we had got the call that she had passed away or whatever. Butta actually called us, and he was on the phone crying, and because he was in Miami at the time,
Okay.
and we were in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and so in Savannah, we were in Savannah, Georgia, and
Okay.
so um, I remember telling him like, we're not gonna be able to make it. Driving to Miami and then having to drive all the way the fuck to back to Chicago is crazy. Like, I'm
That's
not
crazy.
doing that drive. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're not doing that. And
Yeah.
so I remember telling about it, like, you have to get on the plane or something and take your ass home. Like, you gotta get home. We're gonna drive back.
Yeah.
And I remember we came back out here. It's crazy. We got into it again. I actually was unable to attend Destiny's funeral service. He ended up having his other girlfriend there with him,
Okay.
and because we had got into it or whatever, and I just remember like maybe a week or two after that, we ended up linking up again, and we were kicking it, and some shit happened. Some shit had happened between uh not between anybody. Some shit had happened with Butta. We was actually with Butta.
Yeah.
And some shit had happened with Butta and his car, and Trigger's car ended up getting repossessed or whatever.
Yeah.
Cause Butta ended up getting locked up in the car. And what's it called? I remember we got into it about that. And it had got deeper than what it needed to be. And at that
Mm.
point I just realized like, okay, I'm not gonna keep like we can't keep doing this. Like clearly
Mm.
we can't be together. Clearly it's not working out. Clearly
Yeah.
we're not seeing eye to eye. We're gonna keep arguing. We're not gonna do this. And we used to have verbal and physical altercations. Wasn't
Okay.
perfect. Used to have it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just remember like I left. I ended up leaving.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah. They
I
know.
left like without telling him. And it was hard for me. Like it was hard even going through the verbal and physical altercations because like I say, just 8, 9 years ago, this was somebody that I was looking at like, oh my gosh, this is the person I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with.
For
To
sure.
now, 8, 9 years later, it's like, oh my gosh, like I just need to get away from you, like.
You had enough. Yeah.
And that just comes from me and him always being up under each other, always never giving any time
Mm.
each other. But we were kids, so it
Mm.
grew into that. It wasn't something that like we forced it, like somebody forced us. We wanted to be up under each other. We just didn't know that it was gonna lead us to being like this.
And also, you're getting older. Your mind's developing. Like
It's changing
you're
and
seeing
stuff.
life different. Yeah.
But when I tell you I was bad on him, just like he was bad on me, like I say, you could not. And I did everything with that man. Like I was his
Yeah.
partner in crime. Like you name it,
Mm.
I was there
Mm.
for everything.
Mm.
Robbing, stealing, all of it. I was there for it all.
Mm.
I was literally like, they used to call us Bonnie and Clyde because it's literally
Okay.
how we was. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
anything and everything, all the stories you could think of. Shit, I got one good ass story for you.
Let me
I
hear
got a
it.
good ass story for you.
Let me hear it.
But let me go back on topic. So yeah,
Okay.
so we ended up getting into it
Yeah.
because of the situation that happened with him and Butta.
Yeah.
Um, and I ended up just saying like, fuck this. I'm not gonna keep dealing with this. Like I'm gone.
No, for
I ended
sure.
up leaving him. And because I decided to leave him, and I wouldn't talk to him. Typically you just ignore somebody. They just, they don't go away because this man is we still got 2 kids. Like we have 2 kids. But I didn't want to be with him no more. I just told him like I don't want to be with you no more. I want us to get a divorce. Like it's over with. And his response was calling into my parole officer and telling her that I left the state. And
Mm.
so he
Grimy.
risked he risked me going back to prison. Like it was that serious. Like it was that deep. Like,
Damn.
and that's why it really hurts me when people, well, not don't say hurt because I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But it really makes me mad when people try to judge my character, like, oh, you foul, you this. Because in reality,
Yeah.
people don't fucking know. It don't get no more fouler than that, nigga. All I
Facts.
said was I didn't want to be with you no more. And your choice of action was to call the state and report me so I have to get sent back to fucking jail for something that
That's
a pipe
fucked
case
up.
that I took for you though. This is your shit. You know
That's
what I mean?
grimy. That's grimy.
So it just it really just like I guess for me, I'm ready to set the tone because that's not my character. Like I
Mm,
always been a ride or die chick. I was always by his
mm,
side. I always stood by him through thick, through thin, wrong, through right. I was always like nobody could tell me nothing about this man, and that's just the
mm.
way it was.
Yeah,
But when he did that, at that point, I felt like you're no longer my partner in life. You are now my enemy. So much to the point where you
mm,
showed your hand, like, nigga, you tried to
mm.
send me to jail. Nigga, I done took cases for you. And you're trying to send me to prison. Like, are you fucking okay?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
And
messed up.
and during that whole time, it was hard because the only way I could stay out of prison and not go back, because it was like I know for out here, if you're on parole and you leave the state, you automatically get shipped right back to prison. And there's
For
no
sure.
question to ask. You got to do the full time. And I think I was
Okay.
facing like 3 to 7 or like
Damn.
7 to. I know it was a lengthy a fucking amount.
Plus, you
And
got
I'm
your
just thinking,
kids.
and then what made matters worse was because his mother is a fucking lawyer. So it was like it was me
Ooh.
fighting. It was my word against them. You feel what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
my
Wow.
word against them, and them is my fucking. This is supposed to be my family. Like you are my husband. Like my fucking
Yeah,
husband. You
yeah,
are my
yeah,
husband, and you are
yeah,
sending me to prison. Like, are you fucking cool?
yeah.
And so I just remember crying, and my parole officer, I forgot her name. Shout out to her because she used to fucking hate me. No lie, she hated me. Um, I remember she came to me and she was like, this is how I knew he told on me. Because she came to
Mm,
me and it was random because we already did our check in.
yeah.
And she was like, so I just received a call from my supervisor. And I'm like, okay. And they say that they have a voicemail from a man by the name of Khalil Austin. That was his real name. And I'm like, what voicemail?
Mm,
And I guess in the voicemail, he basically goes on to say like how he has information about a parolee who has left the state while on parole. He gave him my name, he gave him my ID number,
mm,
and I remember she was like, "So I'm gonna ask you, did you leave? And tell me
mm.
the truth. Otherwise, I'm sending you back to prison." And I just remember sitting. I was at work. I literally just started work.
Yeah,
And I remember like standing outside, like I didn't know what to do. I was just crying because it was just
for
like,
sure,
damn, you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like
Like he went low on that one. Yeah,
you went low, like
yeah, 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 yeah,
shit. Go find my cousin. Fuck my cousin. No, you went as
yeah,
low as to say like I'm finna send
yeah.
you to jail, bitch. Like whoa. And so
But why
and
was he thinking about your kids though? Like, cause like if you go to jail, then what? He's gonna take the kids? Like,
he was basically
okay,
thinking like, okay, I'm gonna take my kids. She ain't gonna be
okay,
able to have custody, none of that, which is
okay,
like fucked up
okay.
because it's like in my head, I'm not doing this to you. Like this is not
Right,
my first thought to do
right.
none of this
And
to you.
and you could have called police on him for bear shit. Like at this point, like,
I knew a lot of shit. Like I knew all
yeah,
your dirty work.
yeah, yeah,
I knew
yeah,
where
yeah.
every like I could, and I didn't. So like
No,
I
for sure.
say, I remember she came to me and she was like, "So don't lie, cause I'm gonna know, cause I'm gonna be able to find out. I'm gonna be able to know what plane you got on. I'm gonna be able to know what seat you was sitting in. I'm gonna be able to know if you was sitting by the window or not." Like she was like, "I'm if you lie to me, I'm gonna be able to know I can't help you." And I
Yeah.
remember just telling her everything, and I got put back on the fucking bed again, and I had to sign this thing called a no contact order, and it basically states that I could have no verbal physical anything like any sort of contact at all with him or his family, which in my head was like, how do
Why?
you do that? We have kids, like
Yeah.
what the fuck, like what do you mean? And I had later found out that it was his mom who
Mm. Because she's a lawyer.
suggested the no contact order. But what
Okay.
they wasn't clicking in their mind was I have my kids. So once I
Mm.
sign this order,
You guys can't see the kids.
it's all ties is cut the fuck off. Like, but I had no choice. My hands was tied. It was either you sign the order or you go to prison. I didn't have no choice. Like, it was sign the
Mm.
order or go to prison. Like, and I remember just thinking in my head, like, wow. And I wanted to call him right
Yeah.
then and there before I signed it. But she told me, because she was standing right there. We were sitting on the back of her squad car. We was outside. It was the summertime.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, let me just call him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to cry.
Mm. Well, take your time. Take your time.
I was like, please just let me call him because it don't make sense. Like, how do you sign a no contact order on your husband? I have
Mm.
kids by this man. Like,
Mm.
how do I do that? Like, what do I do? And she didn't have no answer for me at that moment. She just told me that I had that at that moment to make a decision. It was either I sign this order or I go to prison.
Mm.
And in my head, I'm just like, I was so scared because I'm like, wow. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm like, I signed it. I'm like, okay, I'll sign it. And I signed it. And she was like, okay, so from here forth out, you have no contact. You cannot text them, call them. You cannot reach out to them. You cannot reach out to anybody that they know. If you guys have mutual friends, you guys cannot be talking to one another, nothing, none of the sorts. And, I
Yeah.
had so many questions because I'm like, we know everybody mutual. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just remember she was like, Miss Tramble, if I find out that you as so much as sent a note with your handwriting, I'm sending you back to prison. And so it was really hard for me because it was like I literally had to just like I couldn't talk to him no more. I couldn't.
Do you think he knew that his mom did that?
He knew, he just didn't. I don't think she explained it to him.
To him properly. Okay. He didn't really know what was going on. Yeah.
He didn't know what was really going on, and so
For sure.
this was, I want to say, a month. This happened a month and a half before he passed away. That
Oh
I signed this
wow.
no contact order, and so
Wow.
I went a whole month and a half without talking to him.
Wow.
Um, he never tried to. What's crazy is, to my knowledge, he was never trying to reach out to me,
Okay.
which hurt me even more because it was just like, how do you put me, like, how do you bring me here? Like,
Damn.
where what did I do to you that bad that you put me here in this position?
So since then till he passed, you guys had no contact. Wow.
Not a
Wow.
word, like, not a
Wow.
word, not a conversation, none of that. And so,
Wow.
I remember
Damn.
he had called me one day and I didn't want to answer, but I couldn't resist the urge to. And I picked
Mm.
up the phone and we were on the phone. And I remember my mom being right there and she was like, hey, you gotta hang up. What if they're recording you? Like, you could get in trouble.
Mm.
And right before, because I didn't say nothing, I didn't say hello, I just picked up and he just started talking. And he was just like, why won't you answer the phone? Why won't you talk to me? Why won't you reply? Why won't you do this? And my mom was like, don't say nothing. Like, you don't know what the fuck they got going on. Like, you could say something right now, you could be fucking in jail in the next 5 minutes. And
Mm.
which was so crazy because then I remember my parole officer called me right after I hung up and she was like, were you just on the phone with him? And I'm like,
Wow.
no, I didn't. I was like, my daughter answered the phone. I didn't say shit. I didn't. She's like, I thought I told you to block the number. I'm like, I did. He called from another number. She didn't know.
But
And
how would your
so
parole officer know that? That's that.
that's why it was so fun. That's why
It's a
it's
setup.
it was a setup. And so
Wow.
I remember something happened where I had to end up moving, like changing my whole sites. And I was staying at my cousin's house. And this was on Memorial's Day. He passed away on Memorial's Day.
Yeah.
And I remember I woke up. What's so crazy is I had I had just woke up. So I had just woke up and I was like, okay, I want to do something, like, I'm tired of being sad. I want to barbecue. It's
Mhm.
holiday. Like, come on, let's do stuff. Let's start
Yeah.
drinking and stuff. And I remember I was like grilling. I was prepping food. I was doing a lot. And what's it called? I remember getting a phone call from his so-called best friend, Kiara. Well, she
Mhm.
was his best friend. And I knew her too. We actually, fake knew each other before I knew they knew each other. And she called me and she was crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? Why are you crying? What's wrong?
Yeah.
She was like, I don't know how to tell you this. She was like, I'm so sorry, Tati. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what? Like, spit it the fuck out.
Yeah.
She was like, Khalil in the hospital. He's dying. Like, he's dying. He's been shot.
Damn. Damn. Damn.
I didn't know what to do. Like, I couldn't I couldn't even leave because if I left, I was gonna get in trouble for violating. I had to call
Yeah.
in, and I remember I
Yeah.
was on hold with the fucking sheriffs for maybe 6 hours after I got the phone call,
Yeah.
and and everybody just it's like at that moment when I answered her phone call,
Yeah.
everybody else's phone calls started coming through, and they was just
Mm.
like, Tati, like, where are you? They were like, are you okay? Like, where are you? Where are you? And I was just like, I can't leave. Like, I can't get to the hospital. And he was with his
Damn.
girlfriend at the time.
Mm.
And so she was at the hospital. And so I just remember, like, I was calling her and I was calling, everybody, because I'm just like, I got to get to the hospital. Like, I got to get there. I can't get there. I got to wait for approval. Tell me. His mom was calling me. She was like mad at me. And it was like, I don't know why, but she was just mad at me and she was crying. And his sister was on the phone and she was trying to console me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was distraught because I'm like, y'all are lying. Like,
It's
dying?
crazy.
Like, out of everything, he's dying? And so I remember they finally let me leave to go to the hospital, but I was late. He was already gone. And they
Damn.
wouldn't let me back there to see him. They had said that his mom already identified him over the phone so that I didn't need to come in. Like, I didn't need to see him.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how to feel.
For
I was
sure.
trying to make myself laugh. I was so intoxicated that it was like my head was hurting, but it it helped because I was giving myself a headache from crying so
Mm.
much. And so I just
Damn.
remember that shit. Like, I never, like, when I tell you, I never got to say nothing to him. Like, I never got
Damn.
to talk to him. I never got to tell him how I felt. I never got to hear him, like, at least try to apologize or nothing. Like, we never got to talk about anything up until the point that we went our separate ways. And I just remember. I remember when I came back home
Yeah.
the next day. Um, I remember coming home the next day. I didn't want to eat. I had to send my kids to my grandmother's house because I couldn't really get up and take care of them. Like, I just couldn't do it. And I remember I got a text message from Butta's mom. Actually, I got one from her. I got one from his friend Kiara, and then I got one from Butta, and it was all of the same screenshot. And the screenshot was basically like a 3-paragraph text message from Khalil to me, well, from TRIGGA to me. And in the text message, he just reads, it reads, actually, can I find it? Yeah. Let me get it.
So when exactly did he text you this?
He sent it to me. Um, he sent it to me. He died on the 30th. He sent it to me on the 23rd.
Okay, but his number was blocked, right? That's why I didn't
His
even
number
text
was
him through.
blocked, so the number could
Okay.
not get to me. So I actually
Mm,
had all of those three people that sent it to me was all of them were blocked. Like everybody was fucking
mm,
blocked. Like everybody was blocked. And so when I unblocked them, so how she called me was off of TikTok. She called
okay.
me off of TikTok. And I just remember I unblocked everybody, and after that, that's when everybody started calling me or whatever. And so, yeah, I just remember like I was just really sad about it because it was just like, damn, like what do I do? Like I can't
Yeah.
even get to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, what's it called? I'm trying to see if I can find it. I don't think I can. It's in my other folder. I got it saved in like my Google Drive. But anyway, the message was basically him sending me a long paragraph, basically just stating like, I truly apologize for
Wow.
everything that I put you through. I truly am sorry.
Wow.
He says for hurting you and for just treating you the way that I did. It took me a while to really realize, that you really been everything for me. Like you really uh was trying to learn me and study me to be my person, and I fucked it all up. And he was just, how he couldn't eat, how he couldn't sleep, how a lot of his actions, he was just doing stuff to keep his mind off of the fact that, me and him was going through what we was going through. He even explains how, like, the shit, like you say, the whole no contact order, how, like, he never wanted it to go to that extent. He was just mad. And by the time he realized what he did, it was too late. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
the voicemail was already sent.
damn.
And so
That's so
for
much mixed emotions for you right now, eh? Like,
it's for me in that moment, oh my gosh, I think I cursed out every last one of them that sent me the
mm,
screenshot because I was just like, I don't want to see this shit. Like, and what's crazy is Butter Mama actually didn't even want to show me. Like, she was like,
mm,
I don't want to send this to you, but I don't want to keep it a secret either. And
mm.
so when she
You,
sent it to
you
me,
you deserve to know at the end of the day, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so it just really hurt. Like I
for
say,
sure.
we never got to talk about it. We never had got no reconciliation or none of that between us. And so with him passing away, it really like it changed my entire life
For
because
sure.
I went from knowing nothing but him to like, oh now he's gone off of the face of this fucking earth. Like
For sure.
I don't even have the option to,
For sure.
try to
Yeah.
fight what we got going on or, tell him like, hey, go tell these people you was out your
Yeah.
right fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
none of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
done.
then
Yeah.
on top of that, it hurt worse because he didn't he didn't get to my kids didn't even get to see him. For that whole
Mm,
month and a half, he did not see the kids. Like he didn't
mm,
see them, he didn't get to speak to them, he couldn't say hello, he couldn't do none of that because there was no way of us reaching out to him
mm.
without it being like, oh, well, y'all tried to contact him or whatever the case. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. For sure.
So in that moment, when May 30th of 2022 was the day. Not only did I lose my baby father, but like that part of my life just died. Like all of that. That whole 9 years just
It's over with.
it was
Yeah.
gone.
Wow. That's a roller coaster story, man.
And
Wow.
so
That's almost like that could be a movie right
it
there.
could
Like
be like it could be a fucking movie. And
real shit.
so that's what leads me back into saying like, see, I wasn't comfortable yet with telling people because I never wanted it to seem like I wanted to bash him or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
You
No,
know
I
what I
feel
mean?
you. I feel you. But it's your
But
reality, you know. It's your
yeah,
reality.
and so but in order for it to make sense to people like, oh well, she grimy or she foul and she just like
Yeah, yeah, you don't
no.
know. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't even know my character to be even going ahead and saying that. Yeah, I get it because it's like, okay, well you fucking with butter now and woo woo. Okay, cool. But other than that, if we go deeper, if we clear the surface, it's
Yeah,
deeper than what it is. Like
for
this
sure.
is
For sure.
nothing compared to what really went the fuck down between me and this man. And so
Did Butter know the all the dynamics and everything
no,
to
he didn't.
you and Trigger? Okay.
Butter actually was locked up for a little minute,
Yeah.
and I wanna
Oh,
say,
FBG Butter was locked up even when he died.
yeah,
When FBG. Okay.
because see, like I said, it was a situation where I decided I wanted to leave him, and then when we
Okay.
left, that situation that him and Butter got in that made me want to leave him. Butter ended up going to jail for that,
Okay.
and so he
Okay.
was locked up. So
Okay.
I think
Okay.
Butter didn't get out of jail until maybe I think if he wasn't already out, yeah, he was already out. He was already out
Okay.
of jail. He was on house arrest.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, he was on house arrest, so he was out. So he was out when he died or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, but he didn't. He knew, but he didn't know. He didn't know, cause even
Okay.
then, like when we got together and stuff, he was like, what was the he was like, but Trigger said you had ran away or left or did something. You took the kids and you was just gone. And I'm like, no, I was on house arrest. Like
Mm,
he knew where I was. Like he knew.
mm,
He was like,
mm.
man, he told us something different and this and that. And I was just like, no, that's a lie. Like that's a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was just like he wasn't really telling people what was going on, I guess, because and if you tell how you tell people that you caught the police on your motherfucking baby mama and try to save your
No, for
prison.
sure. For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like
For sure.
how do
Especially
you tell
especially
people that?
with his street reputation that wouldn't
You're
look
right, like
good,
how do
right?
you tell people that?
Yeah, 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 for
And
sure.
so it was what's crazy is because people were surprised. They was like, "What? That was really going on?" And I'm like, "Y'all around this man every fucking day. How y'all didn't know this was going on?" He was,
Mm,
"Oh, he wasn't telling us. He was telling us something different, and then we just never heard from you." Like,
mm,
which which came into play the no contact order. That's why, because I couldn't see y'all, couldn't talk to y'all.
for sure. For sure.
And so
For
yeah, that's how it came. But I say that to make it make sense so people stop thinking like, oh, you foul as soon as your husband or baby daddy die, you just
Go talk to
instantly
this
changed
boy or whatever.
and
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to go
yeah.
over like no,
No,
it's
I
not that.
feel you. No, I
It's
feel
that's
you.
not how it went.
No, I
Um,
feel you. I feel you. I
and
feel you.
yeah, people would pass judgment and say like, oh, well, that butter wrong because he was pushing up on you and woo woo. I mean, yeah, you could say that, but in a
Oh
sense
no,
too,
I look
like,
at it. I look at it on two ways. Cause also, like, you want somebody that you know that you trust and you love with your significant other if you're
hmm
gone. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
so it's all about how you look at it, perspective, really. You know?
no, for real. And so even then, like me and Butter, like I said, we was kicking it and stuff. We was kicking it with the kids, and then he ended up. That's when he ended up telling me, like I really think you. It would. I think he more so told me because we was also having a conversation because he was asking me like, oh, well, what you gonna do and this and that. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm into like dating no more. Like I don't even care to do all of that extra shit.
All
Like
that,
I'm not
yeah,
into it.
for sure.
And he was just like, oh no, you deserve to be loved. You deserve this and that. So I guess he was like snowballing it into him trying to tell me like, oh, he likes me or whatever.
For sure.
And so, like I said, we was just spending time with each other regular. We wasn't like we wasn't even having sex. You feel me? Like we was just
Yeah,
kicking it.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
was still
yeah,
on
for
house
sure,
arrest. And
for
then
sure.
one thing came to another, and then like I said, that's when he expressed how he felt to me. And
Mhm.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be a grown ass woman when I say this.
Talk to me.
Even though even though it seems wrong to say, like, okay, I'm gonna mess around with my husband's friend. You know what I mean? But like I say, you have to understand it deeper. I was already not with him for real for a year.
For a year, for sure.
And
How close was Butter and Trigger's relationship though?
they
For
were
real,
close. They were really
like
close.
brothers, like brothers,
Like
brothers,
they
like
were really close. Like
okay,
they were close in a sense where like you wouldn't see Trigger unless you seen Butter. Like
okay,
the only reason Trigger would be around was because Butter 9 times out of 10 was around. You feel
okay,
what I'm
okay,
saying?
okay,
Butter introduced Trigger to a lot of the people that he know amongst FYB and FBG. So
okay, okay,
that's what
okay.
that plays. You know what I mean? Like so, yeah. To
Okay.
say like,
Okay. So
oh,
so
that's his.
Butter's the link to everybody when it comes to
Yeah,
Trigger. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's how
Okay.
that comes to play. So that's where you get that whole like, oh, that was his brother.
His
You know what I
brother.
mean?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um.
What about FYB J Man? Same thing?
So
It was through
same thing.
Butter?
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because at a point in time, it was all because of Butter. Because Butter introduced
Mm,
Trigger to
okay.
everybody, brought him around everybody, had him around everybody.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
how that's
Okay.
how that comes into play. Like I
Okay.
say,
Okay. Okay.
and like I said, when he had passed away, me and Butter, we just from hanging out, being around each other, just kicking it. I never knew. I only knew of Butter as being Trigger's friend. Like I said, I
Okay.
never built my own personal relationship with Butter. There
Relationship with
was
him.
no, oh, me and Butter used to flirt here and there. Like no, it was none of that.
Okay.
I
So
really never.
You know Butter because of Trigger,
Yeah,
basically.
that was it.
Okay.
That was literally
Okay.
it. That was just the
Okay.
relationship. Oh,
Okay.
you know him because of him. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, y'all
Okay.
kick it together. Yeah, he come by the house sometimes. He be at my house sometimes. We kick it. We go outside. We get drunk.
For
But
sure.
that's it. It's nothing more. Like it don't go past that. But like I said, when he passed away, Butter was really the only person that like really, I guess
Held
you
it
could say,
down.
like reached out and just cared.
No,
And
for
we grew
sure.
into that relationship. And I
For sure.
remember telling Butter when he told me, and I decided to entertain the idea. I only entertained it because for me it was normal. Like if I had to be in a relationship with somebody at that point, I like come on now. I was what? I was fucking 22 years old and I was married. Like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like I was 23 when he died.
mm,
I was young as shit. Like I not only been with him since fucking 15. So it was like
mm,
it's not like I've been dating or doing shit like that. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like it
mm,
was
mm,
literally
mm.
him. Him
For
having
sure.
kids, we got married, we did the whole little like together thing, Bonnie and Clyde shit, all of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so for me, I didn't care to get to know nobody else new because it was like, what the fuck? Like, you don't even meet the standard of what I was just dealing with. You feel me? Even though it started to turn out bad, but you know what I
No,
mean?
for
Like,
sure. No, for sure. For sure. For sure.
and
For sure.
so when I thought about it, when Butter expressed himself, for me, it was like, okay,
Let's see where this goes.
right, like let's see what it do. My only
Yeah.
thing
Yeah. Yeah.
was I didn't, and he'll tell you, I did not care for it to be public. I didn't
Mm.
want us messing around to be public. I wanted
But
it to.
that's gonna be kind of hard, especially like okay, the time when you're falling, you and Butter are getting close.
Mhm.
Butter's also blowing up on the internet, right?
Mhm.
He already started doing his DJU or his little interviews and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
he was literally just getting into doing all of the internet stuff. A
Okay.
year before that, we had to like we was basically telling him like, nigga, you got a name, use that. Clickbait it. I don't give a fuck what you do, but use it.
Mm,
So yeah, he was just started rolling into like, you know, doing interviews and all of that shit.
okay.
But it was more so I didn't care the fact that people knew like, oh, Tati and Butter hanging out. I didn't
Okay.
care about that.
Yeah, for sure.
That was gonna be that's not I wasn't keeping that a secret.
For sure. Okay.
What I wanted to keep hush was that like, okay, we possibly we like each other, we possibly
Together.
talking more than
Yeah.
just friends, and now we like occasionally are fucking. So I wanted to keep that on the
On
hush
the low. Yeah.
because if it turned out that me and him wasn't gonna be together for a long time, I didn't care for it to be a whole nother story. We already gonna have a story of, oh, Trigga wife fucking
His boy
Butta,
or
his
whatever.
brother.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now we gonna add to the story, and oh, Butta fucked Trigga's wife and left her. Woo, this, you feel me? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
care for all that right then and there.
I feel you. I feel you.
But his baby mama ended up outing us, Lachey. She and the daughter.
Okay, also some jealousy type shit.
Baby mama drama. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Okay.
Baby mama drama. And everybody know that's universal code. Everybody know what the fuck
Facts.
that means. Baby
Facts.
mama drama.
Okay.
She ended up outing us. And I remember a lot of people didn't believe it, but then when they seen us together, it was like, oh, so that's really a thing.
Mm.
And we ended up getting a lot of hate. I had to switch to my phone. We ended up getting a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Um, like, oh, in the beginning, we ended up getting a lot of like side eyes and like just
People put
how
their
could
their own opinions and stuff.
you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
They
yeah.
like
No,
how
for sure.
could y'all and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
why would you do that and just stuff like that, like it was like people, I don't know. And but it was crazy because nobody was saying this to us directly. Well, not to
For
me.
sure.
Nobody was
For
saying
sure.
it to me.
For sure.
He was getting some of the feedback, and I remember when she did out us, I was just like, Butta and Butta's mama called me. And he was like, oh yeah, Lachey making statuses and posts and got people DMing and woo woo. And I'm like, see, this is the shit I'm talking about. Like, I didn't care for none of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just remember he was just like, it's okay. I'm not gonna let nobody talk about you. I'm not gonna let nobody say shit about you. Like, I'm gonna let it be I'm gonna let it be known.
You standing on it.
And that's that. And
Mm.
I was just like, okay. And from there, we just ended up forming this bond that it was like, you care for me, I care for you. Now we are partners in this. You know what I mean? We shared a mutual traumatizing, I guess you could say, life experience. He lost it, even though he wasn't with his baby mama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He lost his baby mama, which was his most recent baby mama.
Mm. Mm.
His daughter lost a mother, and now my kids lost their father, and I lost
Mm.
my husband, my baby daddy. So it was like
Mm.
something we shared. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure.
And
For sure. For sure.
it happened a year apart. So, Destiny died first and then Trigga died. So it was like he was still in his
Mm.
grieving stages
Mm.
too. It was
For
just
sure.
easier for him to help guide me because he was already going through it.
For
And
sure.
that's
For sure.
literally how we've built our whole everything. Like it was
Became like
trauma bonding.
an escape for each other. Yeah,
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 it was,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
No, for
And
sure.
and it ended up growing more outside of that. You know what I mean? Because we ended up being up under each other every day, like literally
So
every day.
this is sounding like the same thing with Trigger happening again, like with Butter, like you know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's weird. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. But it's to talk about it now. It's hilarious because it's funny because see for me, I would repeat this story to myself all the time, and I'd be like, see, it makes sense for me. I don't know if it's gonna make sense for other people, but it's like you
Mm.
literally
That's
gotta
all that
go through the
matters.
shit to
That's all that
understand it.
matters.
Like you gotta go through
Yeah,
it to understand it. Like I get it, it don't make fucking sense, but it happened. So
heard you.
you know what I mean? Like it happened.
No, heard you. So how long has that been now since you and Butter been together?
Me and the butt have been together for it's gonna be going on 2 years.
2 years.
Been together since basically 2.5, 3 years. Basically since
Yeah.
ever since he passed away.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we just it's just been that.
Ever
And
since.
um it's just like that's just it. And I'm not gonna say like the whole trauma thing is what keeps us together. It's not because we grew out of that. That's just what brought us closer.
Mm. for sure. Man, we frozen again. Yo, that was a crazy story though, man. Tatiana FYB Trigger. Probably gonna have to do a part two to this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you back, you back. Yeah, and I was just saying, man, we gonna have to do a part two, man, cause I like the way today what we have it. We got you and FYB Trigger. Part two, I know
Yes.
we don't need like another hour for just you and FBG Butter,
Just to
like
go
you know what
up,
I'm
yes, I'm
saying?
telling you, it's what people don't understand is like I like to make a joke and say like I'm the woman behind the man because
The
like even
queen.
though I don't be in the drama, I know about it. I possibly was there, possibly what knew what happened to lead up to it, but I'm not in the midst of it. I really be like on some ladylike shit. Like I stay in my lane as a female. You feel
Yeah,
me? I
for
don't
sure,
make it more. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, I was in the street with the guy. I was hanging out on the block. You feel me? Like, yeah, I was there. We was kicking it, we was chilling and stuff, but like I save all that extra shit for them. I don't got time for that. I done did my share of, stuff.
for sure,
But other than that, that's not me. That's not my person. That's why I say too, like, when I told you, I'm like, oh, I really want to do it because this is gonna be my first interview. But it's like all about me though. Like, it's
for
not
sure, for
so
sure.
much like, oh well, what happened with this between him and him, and we were like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
know. I don't
yeah.
know. Like
It's just,
half of the time when niggas arguing, you ain't even paying attention to this shit. It got nothing to do with me. Why am I? I
mm,
don't care.
mm, facts,
And I'm not gonna get on here and be telling about business. You feel me?
facts, facts,
But
facts, facts.
do it sound like a movie? It sound like a
Movie.
motherfucker.
That was a movie. That was a movie. That was a movie.
That was a lot
That
to
was
unpack,
a
and just
movie.
just by looking at me, you wouldn't. Would you expect like damn for all of that? Like all of that.
Nah, nah, facts, facts, facts. But I can see that this was also very therapeutic for you. Like you needed to get this out. You know what I'm
I
saying?
do. I needed to get it out. I needed to get
Mm,
it. I needed to let the world know, like,
no,
this is
facts,
who I am. I'm not. I'm not that. I'm her, but
facts,
I'm not
facts,
that. You feel me?
facts,
And
facts,
we most
facts.
definitely could do a part two because it's a lot. It
Yeah,
like I say, it goes deeper. Like,
no, I
oh my
believe
gosh,
you.
like I say, the stories I have to tell with me and Trigger are
Yeah,
crazy.
before we end this part, you owe me that one FYB trigger with you and him going crazy, and then we end it with that, and we do a part two.
Okay,
Mm.
so, ooh, this is my favorite one. This is my
All right.
favorite one. Okay, so when Trigger was locked up,
Mm.
he had made this friend. And this friend, I guess, was fanned out at the fact that Trigger knew Butta, FYBs, FBGs, whatever, right? And so when Trigger got out, of course, the friend got out a little bit after. And Trigger was heavy on the like takedown game. Like, if he said the opportunity, he was taking it. He didn't give a fuck who you was. Okay,
Mister,
he
take
was
your
he
fights. Yeah.
He, when a motherfucker say build that bridge and get over it, he was the motherfucker to burn it down. He don't care.
Mm,
Okay.
mm.
And so I remember he came to me, mind you, me and him, we hit every lick possible together. Like it didn't
Wow.
matter what it was, we did it together. Like we planned that
Mm.
shit, we hit it. And so I guess you could say he took me off the porch. You know what I mean? When
Okay.
they say that
Okay.
term,
Yeah,
jumped off
yeah,
the
yeah,
porch,
yeah,
I
yeah,
jumped
yeah,
off
yeah.
with him. And so I remember he was like, babe, I met this dude up in jail. Ooh, woo, he claimed he that nigga on his block. He got everything. He got all the pipes. He got all the money. He got all the drugs. Woo, woo. I'm like, okay, you telling me this for what? He said, oh, I'm trying to take him. I'm trying to rob him. I'm trying to get on down.
Yeah.
You don't even know this man. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
him. You was only locked
Yeah.
up for 9 months. You don't know
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was like, but he fanned out. He fanned out. And niggas be fanned out. Okay,
For
let
sure.
me tell
For
you, they
sure.
be fanned out.
For
And
sure.
so all I remember is we ended up getting an Uber to Shorty crib. He ended up inviting us to his place. He was like, "Come over, we can all just kick it, smoke, play the game, woo woo." Now we go over there, we kicking it, it's real empty. Look like the trap house, but it's not. He's claimed like he just got it when he got out, whatever. So it's just me, him, old dude. Old dude had a friend in there, but he ended up leaving. And we out west somewhere. And I remember we made this plan at the house. So TRIGGA used to take this medicine, and it's one of the side effects of the medicine was that it would make you super drowsy to the point where you would clean knock out in like minutes, like fuck minutes, seconds, but it was more of a minute thing. And I think it was for like overstimulated people, so that's why it had that such strong effect. Anywho's, um, I was like, how are we gonna, if he got all them guns and shit? How the fuck are we supposed to take all that shit without, like, it's
A bang
impossible.
or whatever. Yeah.
He was like, we're gonna use the medicine. I'm like, boy, what? I'm like,
Mm.
how? But it's a pill. How you gonna force a pill in somebody's mouth? Or how you can't, drop it. All I remember is we crushed it down. We sprinkled it I went and I got a juice. I got everybody juice and chips and stuff from the store. He ends up taking it out my purse. The dude went to the bathroom. He ended up sprinkling it in his juice and closing it back and like shaking it really,
Breaking it.
really, really hard to the
Yeah.
point where he couldn't see it no more. And it was a flavored juice.
Okay.
And the boy comes out, dude, TRIGGA hands it to him like, yo, this all your shit. He like starts giving him his chips and shit. Dude busts open the chips, get to eating the chips, get to just chugging the juice back.
Yeah.
I'm over there in my seat like, cause in my head I'm like, gee, if I think it's gonna work how I think it's gonna work, he's gonna be out in a matter of minutes. Like that he indulged a lot. You know what I mean? All I know is, dude, and how we knew he got sleepy is because the medicine makes you eat heavily. Like makes you just want to stuff, 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 stuff. And then you pass out. And so I remember he ate his chips. He was like, damn, I'm still hungry. He ate a box of cereal, damn near ate the whole box of cereal. He just started eating shit, and I'm like, yeah, it's kicking in. All I know is maybe like 2 minutes went by, the boy went in his room, and he closed the door, and we didn't hear nothing for
Well,
maybe like,
were y'all smoking
yeah, we
too?
were smoking
Okay.
too.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm like, and so we got up, and he was like, go check and see if he's asleep. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no. I don't want to walk in his room and see if he's like, go see if he's asleep. I go
Yeah.
walk in the room, I go see if he's asleep. I just like pick up his hand. You know how you just pick up somebody's hand and if it
Yeah.
falls
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
down, you know what
Yeah.
So first I was trying to make sure he was still alive. Cause when I tell you he drank the shit out of that juice, he drank the shit out of that juice. Like
Yeah.
he drank the fuck out of that juice.
Boxed it.
Gone. And all I know is I was like, okay, he got a pulse. But when I walked into the room, it was like a thief's dreamland.
Wow.
Like
Everything.
he had Glocks, drums, switches. He
Damn.
had he had like 2,000. Yeah, he had almost $2,500 worth of money in rolls. You feel me? Like in a duffel bag. He just had so much shit. And in my head, the floor was creaking. So I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, and TRIGGA too fucking big. He's making it even louder. I'm like, damn. So I remember just packing up everything in the duffel bag, throwing out everything in the duffel bag, throwing everything in the duffel bag. And but it was scary because he had both drums on him and they was both on his side. Like he was damn near laying on them. And those was the two ones that TRIGGA wanted. And he was like, you gotta take it off of him. I'm like, hell fucking no, because if he wake up, that's it. I'm gonna have to pop him. Like, no lie, I'm gonna have to. And he was like, then we gonna have to pop him. I'm like, dude, it ain't worth it. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not worth the body. He was like, boy, we need those guns. And I just remember I like pushed Shorty a little bit and he moved, he nudged, but he never woke up. And I pushed him again and he never woke up. And so I ended up just de-arming him. And that was that. We left. We was going. We got in the Uber. We left. We went home. We never heard from them. Nothing like nothing on the sort.
So I guess because he met him in jail, there wasn't much like
It wasn't
time
really much. I mean,
for him to get back on.
he was trying to reach out to him after that, but
Mm,
he didn't know where to find us or like where we be at or none of that.
mm, mm.
So I mean, I guess you could say it was an easy stain, but
Yeah,
yes,
yes, that's
boy,
still a
I was
lick. Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. So you guys
that
were
was a
up.
mission. It was literally like a black ops mission.
You
Like, oh my
guys were
god.
up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man,
But yeah, there was
that was
that.
yeah.
It was a lot. It's a lot, but
That's a movie, man. Yo, Tatiana, yo, we gonna leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? We did a
okay.
easy 2 hours. Yo, it was amazing.
Yes, that was
You know what I'm
great.
saying? We gonna
That was great.
definitely
I
do
really
a
do
part two.
appreciate it. It was nice. It was nice.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed you. I enjoyed the story. I'm about to rewatch this again. So it's a movie. And yeah, we gonna tap in and do part two for sure, man.
Period.
You
We need a.
already
They need
know.
a part two. They gonna want a part two. They gonna be like, she lad. This ain't she lad.
I
Yes.
don't even care what they want, what they need. I
It
need a
gets
part two.
deeper.
You know
It
what I'm
get more
saying?
interesting. I'm telling you, it gets way more
Facts.
interesting than that. It's just, but I ain't gonna lie. Just to say the least, say the last. It's like I don't regret nothing that I dealt with him. Like it was real life a movie. It was an
For
experience.
sure.
Like
For
to
sure.
be able to rekindle and like just reminisce about it and stuff. It sometimes make me laugh and smile because it's like, damn, I was really living in a fucking what's that nigga name that be making the black people movies? I forgot his name. Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
I was in a real fucking
Mm,
Spike Lee movie. Like
movie.
can't make this shit up. But
Facts.
yes, part two coming soon.
Facts. Facts. Facts.
And
Yo, I
I
appreciate
enjoy
you.
you having me on your podcast.
And I appreciate you for coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, we
Gonna
gotta do
leave it
this again.
like that. I got you, man. Love, man.
Love. Well,
You
I'm gonna
already
let you
know.
go. Have a nice
Yeah.
night.
R.I.P. Trigger, R.I.P. Scoom. You already know.
Thank you.
We gonna tap in. All right.
Yes. Okay. Good
All
night.
right. Good night. Don't know. Movie.